finished off the handbrake with just a little eyelet in the floor with a nutsert. It's just to hold the cable up at floor level so it's not hanging down, so it doesn't pick up on anything. That's all working sweet. Next thing we're going to move on to is a transmission cooler, which we can't put out the front of the car because there's grill and intercooler everywhere. It was hard enough fitting the intercooler in there, so we're going to mount it underneath the car. So I've prepped up the floor here. I sort of had a bit of a look around and where I could put it. There's not really enough depth here, but here we've got a cavity where the seat mounts. So there's a bit more room there. So what I've done is I've got Matt to fold me up this channel, which is going to be like an air chute and also a protector. And the whole lot's going to come up into here, like that. We're going to nutsert it into the sill and then bracket it up into here. So airflow will come through here and then exit out into the space above it. It's not as good as putting it out the front of the car, but in this case we've got a massively oversized cooler for a start, because it's not a transmission cooler, it's an engine oil cooler, so it's twice as thick or 3 times as thick as your normal trans cooler. And also the converter's only 3,000 RPM. It's not trans braked or anything like that, so you're not boiling the transmission fluid on the line like you can do with some vehicles, so it's going to be adequate. We just got to make do with what space we've got. Sebi would say, treat yourself. Damn you, paparazzo!
And what's the secret to loose hose, Alan?
Car wash.
Car wash?
They say dishwashing detergent, but car wash works better.
Car wash makes the hose loose, apparently.
Doesn't make it loose, it makes it possible.
Just explain to me what's going on, Al.
So we're putting a shifter cable in. The brief with this was wanted to retain the column shifter because it's like original old 70s car inside with a column shifter. So we're just using a B&M shifter cable to connect the column to the trans. This trans already had a B&M shifter controlling it originally, so it's already got the brackets and stuff from when it was in your car. So I'm just rigging up something to connect it to the original shifter lever here. So it's got to be able to still spin when that's tight. And then we just have to make an anchor bracket there. So once we've done that, then you'll get back up into the car and start operating the shifter, and I'll probably have to change the pivot point of this shift lever here, because that sort of dictates the distance between shifts and stuff like that. So at the moment it's set up for a B&M shifter, but we may need it. You can go like 2 mil and it changes the distance between shifts. So that's what we're doing.
Second. Third. And that's displaying third on the gate now. Neutral. Yeah. So park's on reverse. Be a handful driving this thing. Bop, bop, bop. Big power skids.
What? Change gears.
What gear you on?
All of them. One by one.
Alrighty then.
Stop. No. Go back to reverse. Go. Stop. Next. Stop. Next. Next. It's just park. It's just because these got a longer gate. They got a longer distance between park and reverse. So it's always going to be a bit angry when it goes into park.
Okay.
All the other gears are right. Yeah, give me that camera and I'll show you how I test it. Rodriguez has foolishly passed the camera down to me, just so I can show you how we test whether we got our rod length right. So what you do is you leave your pin off. So it's in first. You can pull it in and out, no worries. Then you move it to second. Pull it in and out, no worries. Third. That should always line up. Should be always able to get it in and out. Next. See, not so good. Go back to third.
Somewhere there.
So for getting this slow misalignment, that means the rod length is not right. Go back to neutral. Is that neutral?
That could be reversed.
Park. And park won't be right because it never is on these, because they have a different gate distance. A lot of autos have that. So if you're using an Aisin or Toyota auto and you want to use a B&M or a Hurst shifter, you want to get a Hurst because they don't have a designated gate for park. They've just got a long slot, whereas a B&M shifter has a designated gate and it's not in the right place for the Japanese autos, so it sort of binds up when you try and put it in park. So stuff you have to think about. Obviously that's not the case here because we're using a dirty old shifter out of this car. So we're going to have to change this here, the length of that, to right the shift. So we've had a bit of a fiddle and it looks like we've got to move the lever hole out half a hole. That's kind of not that exacting. So I've found another lever in a bunch of crap for an A340, so we'll do it to this one. The only problem with these is you've got to thin this right out because the B&M shifter thing can only go through a very small gauge steel. So we basically just have to grind that right down. Doesn't cause any problems. So we'll do that, throw it on and see what happens. It's a bit of trial and error with these things.
After the shifter cable has been secured, Al fits some custom-made brake lines for the rear calipers.
So we spent the better part of a day trying to get this column shifter to be friends with the transmission. I think we've nailed it now, but there was a hell of a lot of trial and error involved. We ended up having to modify the actual shift gate up in the steering column, which is not an easy thing to do. But looks like we've got it working now, so it all clicks into the right bits and the right spots. I've just welded that anchor bracket on. I'm just going to change that bolt up there because that's temporary, and then just sort of tie it all together down here properly. It's all again temporary because you've got to fiddle around with it, so we'll do that and then it'll be good to go. So we spent most of the day getting the shifter to work. Very tedious job, so don't do it. Just put a shifter on the floor like everyone else. But no, it is cool because this is an original car on the inside. So it is cool to have the original shifter because it doesn't look like anything's been played with in here or that it's a fast car at all. Everything works except for park. Park works, but park's over here, so the dial hangs out a bit too far, but we can live with that. So it's got detents. Back to first, you've got to pull it back. Up to second's okay, up to drive's okay. Can't go past drive. You've got to pull it up to go into neutral. So it's all good. Should work well. We've put the diff all together as well. We just got to get a tail shaft done. The brakes are all bled. A few little things to do. There's a pile of wiring at my feet for the car that I have to cut open and pull out the unwanted bits. Move some bits around and feed it back through the engine bay to connect everything back up again. And we have to wire up the transmission control, which is just a small box with magic inside it that makes the solenoid switch when you put it into the appropriate gear, because it's manually shifted. So a bit to do, but we're getting there.
Al gets sucked back into some wiring, the ECU gets plugged in, powered up, and the Fairlane is ready to start. That's on the next episode of The Skid Factory.